All right. Welcome, guys, from parking lot to server room. My name is Tim Roberts.
And I'm Brent White, and I want to take a quick second. My 3-year-old daughter, this is for her first hacker conference, so welcome, Megan.
She's late.
She might get a little shy, so anyway.
All right, so our talk today is about red teaming, penetration testing, specifically things that are in a broader scope outside of just the technical aspects. So this includes social engineering, physical security assessments, things like that. Also, we'll touch base briefly on, I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's new security tests going out for prisons where there a lot of parkour people are coming in and trying to break out of prisons. So we'll touch on that a little bit too.
Like Stallone?
Yeah, like Stallone in that awful movie. No serious commentary will say that the user has no responsibility. We all have responsibilities to lock our doors, our homes, and to buckle up when we get in our cars. Just want to preface by saying that, outside of the red side of this, the blue team side, security awareness programs are just very, very important. A robust security awareness program will help detect a lot of these, what we're going to be talking about today, and prevent against it. So everybody has a responsibility to do this. Why not have the responsibility to lock your computer when you get up, or lock the door when you leave, etc.
So before you start the assessment, you obviously want to know what you're getting yourself into. This is really weird doing that, so I'll just speak loud. There's several different ways to kind of look at the footprint of the target or the client. And one of those resources is open source intelligence, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's actionable intelligence or information that's freely and openly available, and there are many resources, many ways to find out about the company or employees, through Google or Facebook or LinkedIn, several things, even Google Maps, where you can sort of get an idea of their property, where you can go in and out, try and get a good look at maybe where the generators are, or if there's some obvious entrances and exits. And then, of course, you want to do your actual physical surveillance, where you're actually on site and looking around. This is where you'll look at things like employee behavior. When are the busiest times? What are the main exits that they seem to be going in and out of? What are their habits? Are people piggybacking? If somebody opened the door and 6 or 7 people are all going in right behind, that's actually a great thing to look for, because that's something you can leverage when you're ready to start entering the building. This is where you can also drive around the parking lot, and there's a few different things we can talk about later on, some do's and don'ts about, rental cars and not sitting in the parking lot lit up by your laptop at night, some things like that.
Smoking areas aren't as big nowadays, but people still go outside for the cell phone, especially if it's if your target. And I'm assuming that all this will be in scope before you're doing this. So let me add that disclaimer that you need to make sure that you're doing this legitimately. Yeah. But when you're there, looking around, the employees will go out there, talk on their phones, especially if they're not allowed to have a device. They don't have a bring your own device policy. They're not allowed to have cameras in the area. You'll see where employees sometimes will go out and talk on their phone. So that's a busy area. A story to add to that, me and my partner were doing a red team at one point, and we saw some people out in the smoking area. They were smoking, they were talking on their phones and everything. So we drove up. And I told him to put his sunglasses on. He drove up. I looked out. I was like, "Hey, I'm lost. I'm looking for a gas station." And our goal, the intent was to look at their badge, because we needed to see what their badge looked like. So as they're talking, my partner's looking all creeper-like with his sunglasses at the details of their badge. Their badge was very simple. Actually, I've got the badge here, just a very simple badge that I was able to go to Office Max and put it on my Snap Fitness proximity badge here and just tape it on there. So very quick, very easy way to duplicate a badge.
You obviously want to have your gear ready to go, basically what's in the bag, what's your toolkit. And we have a lot of things with us today that we regularly keep in our bags. Something that is still, you hear some people say that this technique is dead, but it actually still works pretty well, is malicious payloads on the USB drives or even CDs and DVDs. You can think of that sort of as a reverse dead drop, because this is something that you do want to be found. You want someone to say, oh, hey, a cute little froggy USB drive. That's cool. I'm going to go take it and use it. Well, you know, that's a system that you're into once it dials back home. Drop a CD on the ground that says, you know, Brenda's spring break or 2012 taxes, something like that. People are nosy. Even, oh, I want to see what tax information is. Or, yeah, I want to see Brenda's spring break pictures. This could be good. You know, and again, you know, that's the malicious payload, and it actually works pretty well.
Just to add to that, too, I was at a previous job that I had. We had a nice gaming keyboard, and so we took it out and we put a rubber ducky in it. If you aren't familiar with a rubber ducky, Hack 5, they have the little USB ducky. You can put different things on it, different payloads, make them execute. So we had this, we soldered, or we replaced the USB on it with the rubber ducky. We sent it in, and to the IT guy, one of the network admins, and he's like, oh, this is sweet, you know, this is a free gift from whatever. Plugs it in. Well, the CISO comes by and says, hey, where'd you get that keyboard? He's like, oh, it was sent to me, it was free. Yoink. So the CISO takes the keyboard, goes into his office, puts it onto his docking station, docks his laptop later. So, you know, just nice things. They're pretty. I want to plug it up. I want to see what it does, right? People still do that. People are still gullible. It's the same thing that they were doing in the 90s with the CDs. You know, you just leave those around, people pick up a CD, and it's on auto run, and there you have it.
And just to go a little further with that, too, kind of a way to think, to be creative. Okay, how can I get this payload inside? What can I do to sort of gain that trust? You show up, you know, wearing a shirt, get a shirt made that says, you know, Acme Office Supply or something like that. So you walk into the receptionist and you've got some fake business cards. And has everyone seen those little Christmas trees that are powered by USB? You can buy them around Christmas time. They have all the silly little things,
or Yoda,
or the little USB power thing that shoots the missiles, and all the USB toys. There are tons of things like that. So basically, you know, you get a few of those, you know, 5 or 6 of them. You embed the rubber ducky payload inside of them where it's concealed. It's a little covert payload in there. And so you go in and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. We're a new office company here in town. I'd like for you guys to think of us, you know, when it's time for your next purchase for office supplies. Here's a few Christmas trees, here's a business card, Merry Christmas. Oh, thanks, that's cool. And they see these people come around, oh, what's that? Oh, some guy left them from office supply. Oh, that's cool, I'm going to go plug it up and, you know, have some decorations in my office. And, you know, that's just a kind of a creative way to get that payload in there. Man-in-the-middle devices, wireless sniffing tools, the Wi-Fi Pineapple is something that we like to use. Darren, Kitchen at Hack 5 is really easy guy to work with, and so he kind of got us hooked on these things. And it's just a simple way to set up, you know, a malicious wireless access point. So you can basically clone an access point, get people to connect to you instead of the access point they thought they were going to get to. And so now you're man in the middle. You can also set these up now as actual little drop boxes for internal assessments.
And just to add to the pineapple there, a preventative measure for those that are in defensive security, you know, is to when you start seeing your home access point and you're connected to that and you're in your office, there's probably something fishy going on, right? So what it does is your Macs, your computer's automatically connecting, it's beaking, right? Are you out there? Are you out there? Are you out there? And it's looking for home 1 or whatever your access point is at home. And so as soon as it hears that, it's like, oh, okay, it connects. So it's remembering those access points. Well, what the Pineapple does is it says, hey, I'm home 1, and it connects. So now it's using it as a proxy to whatever this is connected to. So it's a fun little device. Bump keys and hammers. If you guys are not, you know, real savvy with lockpicks, bump keys are a quick and dirty way to get into an area. I would advise against buying cheap bump keys. A lot of conventions will sell, oh, sweet, a set of bump keys, $5, boom. And you get it and you use it once or twice and you've broken the key off into the door. Bump keys also, you got to know about the scope. If you're doing a penetration assessment, perhaps the client doesn't want you using bump keys because you're risking messing up a lock. So that's where you need to practice the lock picking too. Bump keys come in residential, commercial, and like this kind of top secret area keys. So different keys for different areas, especially wiring closets. If you're sitting looking at a building, you're like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get in here. And say you go to a garage. Well, that garage has a catwalk. That catwalk connects, so it bypasses the lobby where the security guard is, or the secretary. So you go up to the catwalk. What's there? Probably a fire escape. Fire escape, do they have a badge reader on it? Probably not. Is the alarm active? Well, it's during production hours. Probably not. All right, pick the fire escape. Now you're in the fire escape. Now you're in the building. From the fire escape, if they have a limited access to the executive floor, well, now you can just walk up there and pick that, and now you're in the executive floor. You don't have to badge into the elevator, right? So this is a very you're gambling a little bit because you're like, I hope the alarm doesn't go off when I open this door. But it has worked for me twice. So I'm like, I'm going to add it to the talks because it works. A lot of times, every time I talk to the client, the point of contact after the assessment, hey, why wasn't the alarm active? Oh, well, it's during production hours and people leave for lunch and stuff. We don't want it to, oh, okay. Noted. So.
Get a hammer, too, for the bump keys. It saves your hands and you don't have to take your shoe off. So.
Yep. The hammer's great, it's quick, and it's precise. I did want to pass up here on the hardware, the 3-in-1 IDE SATA to USB converter. Why would I carry that around with me? Well, you'd be surprised at how many hard drives are left in printers still in the decommissioning areas that are often accessible from outside. So you go in there, you take out the external hard drive, you plug it into your USB, and then you start dumping stuff, hide your laptop, do whatever you want, come back later, get it.
Yeah, that's kind of good too. Like Tim said, you just dump it there. That way you're not taking it out of the building and then trying to figure a way to get it back in if you're trying to do that without actually handing it, back to the client at the end of the assessment. Here's a hard drive. I don't remember what printer I got it out of, so good luck, fixing my mess. That's not always something that goes over well. So.
Next up, we have pivot boxes. So, we mentioned earlier some pivoting tools like Pineapple and stuff, but the Pone plug, Pony Express, they make, this is fresh, like an air freshener. It's not believable, but you give it to somebody, the social engineer, whoever. If you got a Tiger Team kind of assessment build up, you give it to the person that's the face man. He goes in, he finds a place to plug it in, whether it's the core switch or somewhere on the side. An access point, you put an alpha on it. You have it as your rogue access point. You can do this with, if you don't have the money for this or funding for this, you can do it with a router. Just change some of the firmware on it at your access point, and then you connect to it. Quick story on this, me and another partner of ours, we were doing a red team. We got into the building, piggybacked, walked around. It was after hours. There was hardly anybody in there. There was a few people working after hours. They thought we were working after hours. We ended up finding a unoccupied desk. We go over there. We plug in our rogue access point. We put it near the window under the desk, hide it. We had a pretty big antenna on it. So from there, we had gotten a hotel that was right across the street from this client site. Went to the hotel in our shady van, pointed our antenna to their 5th floor, and was able to connect to the access point that we plugged in there. Just so happened they had DHCP active, and it was all access to the network. So I was like, oh, okay, that was easy. So these things are handy especially for remote stuff too. Say you don't want to spend the money on a laptop to send to a client site, and you're doing a white box assessment or a partial disclosure assessment where they know you're hacking, right? There's more. Everybody's working. You're working with a technical team. You're doing this stuff, right? If you want to save some money, you can also plug in one of these drop boxes and do it remotely.
Yeah, and there's several build your own options based off the Raspberry Pi. Some pretty powerful options that, when said and done, you generally have a Dropbox that you've made and customized with Kali Linux or your own distro of choice for around $125. So. A few more things that you can add to your toolkit. Arctic laser, it's a 1,000 milliwatt blue laser. This is something you certainly want to make sure is in scope before you do this. This laser is strong enough to actually pop balloons, and so it definitely is strong enough to disable, permanently disable closed caption televisions, or closed caption cameras. So once you do have access and you're trying to keep yourself discreet where security guards aren't seeing who you are and, okay, why did that, we know that door just opened, but now we can't see who came in there. Again, that's something that's useful, but really make sure that that's in scope.
And don't go home and play with your cat with the Arctic laser. That's a really bad idea.
Yeah, terrible. I was going to say unless you really hate your cat, but that's still just wrong. Under the door tool, it's exactly what it sounds like. The L handle on doors, you see them a lot in hotels. There's even several around here. It's a tool that you slide under the door and you can turn it and actually hook the handle and pull and give yourself access from the other side very quickly. If you go to riftrecon.com and other places, they sell the under the door tool. Also the crash bar tools, like the panic bar on the door back there. There are tools that can help open those from the other side. Mylar balloons and hand warmers. What in the world are you going to do with a Mylar balloon? Well, it's pretty simple, but it's very effective. So you have a latex balloon with some helium. You go to the door that there is a motion sensor on the other side, lay the Mylar balloon flat under the door, transfer the helium from the latex into the Mylar, tie it off, let it float up on the other side, and you can often trigger the motion sensor and get in.
You know, the old method was to use a coat hanger, like a wired coat hanger, and put a handkerchief on it and wave it, and then you're in, right? Well, a lot of these motion sensors are heat activated now, so even with a Mylar balloon or the old method, you can put the hand warmer on it, tape it on the balloon, or put it on the wire, and then shake it, and then there you go. You'd be surprised at how many doors have these motion sensors because of what? Accessibility, convenience. Okay, well, we don't want people to have to badge out or anything, right? So they got these motion sensors as they're leaving. So
there's been several data centers that I've seen that even have some higher end biometric, with the actual hands get in, but to get out, all you do is got to go up to the door and trigger it, and it opens for you. So it's a good way to bypass, the hand reader.
Did you guys see the trick Dave Kennedy did with his vapor cigarette?
No, I haven't seen
motion sensor. Yeah, you just blew a bunch of smoke between the crack lock of the little door.
Oh, and it did it?
Off the motion sensor and walked right in.
That's awesome.
It's pretty creative. Yeah, there's a lot of cool tricks like that. Sad how easy it is, but be creative and you can get around a lot of expensive equipment quickly. Kneadable erasers. This is something that's kind of unconventional that we like to use. So as I mentioned, with the doors back there with the crash bars or panic bars, whatever you want to call those. The kneadable erasers for like art students, and so it comes in a little square, but it's kind of like a really thick dough. So you can knead, you can move it around where it's malleable, and so once you open the door, you can sort of cram it in the door jamb. That way, when the door closes, it's not actually engaging the lock. This prevents a sensor or an alarm going off saying that the door's been open for too long, because you can actually close the door and still maintain access because the lock hasn't engaged. So that's a quick little trick there.
An older method too is to use one of those magnets, that you get in the mail or whatever, your realtor magnet. Stick that on there. But those are a little more obvious than a kneadable eraser that you can just stick in the hole. Fake badges, again, I mentioned it earlier. A blank RFID badge works wonders. If you don't have something, flip your whatever badge over, the white part. A lot of people don't ask questions. If you have to do it quickly, my recommendation is to try to forge one. Get a good idea of what the badge looks like. You can go online. You can find their logo. You can find it on corporate letterheads. You can check your email, find it on that. From there, you just make a badge, print it off, some adhesive paper, and stick it on your fitness badge, and then now you've got a badge that looks real. Why does this still work? Well, piggybacking and tailgating. People, they're nice, especially in the South. They're like, oh, you're coming up to the door. Here, let me get the door for you. Your hands are full. Let me get the door for you. Oh, you're coming back from lunch. And they always are, they're helping you out, right? So, you know, having just a badge is your kind of ticket in.
If you see someone that's actually watching, like, if you kind of, you know, during your recon phase, you kind of see that they're pretty strict about piggybacking. Something that you can try and usually works pretty well is, as Tim mentioned, have your hands full. You know, get a box that, like, that it's heavy, something where both hands are full, or you got that and you're on the phone and you are in an argument because you want to make the situation really uncomfortable. Because who in here likes to go up to someone and interrupt them when they're, like, screaming at someone else on the phone? No one, right? Because it's awkward. I just want to leave that guy alone because he's having a bad day. Well, I see somebody trying to get in, you know, hands are full, okay, I'll let him in. Or even if you're trying to piggyback, okay, I'm going to help this person out. Because it's, you know, it's natural. It's a natural human thing to want to help. And so, sadly, it's something that's easily exploitable. So, I feel like a jerk saying that.
Yeah, don't be nice to people.
Yeah, don't be nice to anyone.
That's your takeaway for today.
Women get in a lot easier than that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, you know, I got a funny story.
Tim wears wigs all the time.
I dress up a lot of time. No.
We're not joking.
That's good. I'm at a hacker con. I don't care. No, we had one of our female consultants and another male consultant on site, and they were pretending that they were married, and they were arguing, and it was actually at a hospital. Well, during their argument and stuff, they're trying to go to a place, and people were just kind of getting away from them, and from that, they were able to argue up into a door and then go right into it because people didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to see it, and it's very uncomfortable.
It was a room of records, too, and so someone came in, and, you know, they continued the argument. And so the person who could potentially have said, you know, who are you? Why are you in this room with all these patient records? They basically just said, you know, forget that. I'm out here. I'll let them take care of their own business. So
sorry, my wife's upset, or sorry, my husband's upset. Yeah. So that kind of thing definitely works. If you're more technically savvy, Fiddler is a cheap RFID cloner. It does a lot of generic. We're not selling these products. We're just giving you guys some names so you can do some research on your own and check it out. Some of the stuff we have experience with.
If you mention our product code, we get a little kickback when you buy it.
Yeah, not really. But it's a tiny, it's a cheap cloner. Proxmart, if you have some deep pockets and you want to buy a Proxmart, those are pretty good too. You know, when you're doing the fake badge, even when you go to Office Max, it's like they have everything for you, or Staples or any of the stuff. They've got the transparent sleeve. You know, they got lanyards, all that stuff. So you want to get a good idea. If their lanyard's a solid color, get the same color. If you see people wearing different things, get an IT lanyard. You got a SANS lanyard, whatever. You got a conference lanyard, whatever. They're going to think, oh, okay, another IT nerd, whatever. So you can walk in. It's pretty easy. The admin envelopes, again, I was talking earlier, I'd made a fake badge from an admin envelope. So I got into the building by piggybacking. At first I flipped my badge over and I tried to get in, but I got stopped. And I was like, oh, I grabbed the wrong badge. Left. Had to rethink my situation. It's like, all right. Oh, there was a catwalk. Well, I ended up getting in through the fire escape, walked in the building, ended up getting into an administrator's office. She wasn't there. It was around lunch. Had a bunch of envelopes, like letterheads and stuff like that with a logo. At that point, I was able to see what their logo looked like and the badges. And so I tried to make it look like a badge, stuck it in here, and I put my tie over where the picture would be. And it worked. Like the entire assessment. I was there for a day. Then I got to my hotel room. Then I made a proper one on Photoshop. And then got there and used it the next day. Last, on this part of the toolkit, the fake letter of authorization. So you have a real letter of authorization, or you should when you're doing this. This is your get out of jail free card. Ed Skudis, I think, calls it that. But you need to make sure you have that, obviously. So if you do get caught, they call the police, they call the FBI, whatever, they're there. Why are you here? Oh, okay, I have a letter, I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. Well, your fake letter of authorization, it has some broad verbiage in it, right? Something that doesn't have to be specific. So-and-so is doing this and this, blah, blah, blah. And then have it signed by your coworker, who is the CISO of the company or the IT security director. security awareness campaign director or whatever, big title on the bottom with his cell phone on it.
Yeah, we actually put each other's cell phone numbers on there. That way I can call and say, so-and-so said that you're doing this. Like, oh, yeah, he's supposed to be there. And, oh, okay, thank you. And then, like, there you go. And so, as Tim mentioned, that's another vulnerability that you can report is I was stopped, but gave a fake letter of authorization and continued.
You know, what's great is I was stopped and I used my get out of jail free card. It was like the last day I was there on the assessment. And one of the security guards approached me, an armed security guard. And he's like, hey, I need, what's your name? What are you looking for? And I showed him my badge. He goes, nah, I need to know what you're doing here. And then I'm like, oh, come here. Pull him off to the side, give him a fake letter of authorization. Shh, don't say anything, He goes, oh, okay, yeah, I'm in security too. And I was like, obviously.
Yeah, just make them feel like now they're part of some, cool, fun secret or whatever. Now they're in on the gig. And
you don't have to worry about this armed security guards anymore because one guy, I was like, make sure you tell the rest of the team, that way they don't bug me. And so I was free to go. The remainder of the assessment, I didn't have to worry about armed security guards stopping me, or if somebody reported it to the security guards would be like, yeah, it's that guy. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll take care of it. And so it works great.
Yeah, and then the bad thing is at the end is you actually have to report that guy's name. And so even though he was cool and helping you out, you still have, he fake letter of authorization. He's probably, going to get in trouble somehow. And then again, you feel like a jerk. But I guess it's part of your job to help strengthen their security posture by. And
they'll never do it again after that.
Yeah,
I promise you.
Never do it again. Just a quick list of some do's and don'ts. These should be pretty obvious, but sometimes it's good to point them out. When you are during an assessment, don't act suspicious. That's easier said than done. How do you not act suspicious? Well, just be confident. Kind of get a mindset. Hey, I'm supposed to be here. I belong here. But then again, don't ask stupid questions. So when you go in, don't go up to someone and say, hey, how's it going? So where's your server room? Or, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm new here. Where's the CEO's office? Don't ask obvious questions that are going to raise red flags. As mentioned earlier, during recon, don't just sit in the parking lot, especially with being lit up by your laptop at night or, with binoculars or just sitting there for hours just looking at everybody. A lot of security guards will notice that. They're pretty good at spotting things like that, and they'll come ask you, what are you doing here? You need to leave. And don't confuse confidence with obvious intentions. Well, what does that mean? Don't be overly confident. Hey, don't ask me anything, lady, because I'm supposed to be here. Don't be pompous and, okay, this guy obviously is way overconfident and he's compensating for something because he's not supposed to be here. So just act natural, and we'll talk more about how to do that in just a second. And
polite over abrasive works a lot of times. Abrasive, a lot of people feel threatened, or they get defensive, or maybe even they hold it and they second guess. Well, that guy was a real jerk. Who is this guy again? And then they start looking them up. So, some people will say, yeah, just you're the director. You're supposed to be there. It doesn't always work. You gotta, being a smile on your face, being nice, knowing the kind of culture you're at is very important.
Just to add to that, when you help people and you're nice to them and make them feel comfortable, they naturally want to help you. It's like you go up to any drive-through and give me a number 2. You're like, okay. And then is that all? Or if you go and say, hey, how's it going today? Oh, pretty good. What can I get for you? Oh, I'd like, number 2. Okay. And just from doing that, usually they'll say, or I'll put something extra in there for you, or you just get a totally different response from people when you respect them and treat them, with dignity, and that, you are thankful that they're there. So just, kind of keep that in mind too. Don't go in like you actually own the building and do what I say or you're fired type thing. That doesn't go over very well.
And this can be applied to phishing techniques too, like doing it over the phone and stuff, being nice and helpful. Not the telemarketer, I'm reading from a script, give me your password at the end of the phone call, but something that's conversational.
Yeah, it's a quick story. Tim and I have had several assessments where we've called and, hey, how's it going? And act like you know them. It's been a while since I've seen you. You still enjoy working here? You know, I'm so-and-so with HR, corporate headquarters out of wherever. We're like, oh, yeah, I'm good. So you kind of establish that rapport. And long story short, you know, by the end of the conversation, we got not only their username, but their actual password, you know, so we can make sure it was compliant with password policy, and their badge number, and actually what time she was leaving work, as well as what her plans were for that evening. So, and that's a common thing.
So a bonus for you guys. So a template that I often use and that I've given to our team a lot is that just it's a 2-man team, HR and auditor. HR is there to make the employee feel comfortable. Auditor is there to intimidate the employee. So it's a good cop, bad cop thing. So when you call, like, hey, I'm Joseph Hendersmith from HR, and you know I got with me the auditor John Barnes here from NIST. He's doing the 853 assessment. We're just trying to do it around the security awareness program. Say it's the beginning of the year. Everybody's doing their new training, right? Well, we're doing a robust security awareness training right now. We're just making some cold calls to employees to get their feedback on the security awareness program. Do you have just a couple minutes?
Yeah, you can always say, did you get the email that we sent out about our call today? And we're like, I don't think so. Let me look. Yeah, go ahead and look. And they say, I don't see it. And you say, well, you know, that's okay. We're kind of, you know, last minute trying to squeeze through these, so we really appreciate your help. And you just kind of go on from there. Just kind of a good transition.
Yeah, and having a list of questions too from a real framework, from an audit in there. So, yeah, how was your password delivered to you? Well, it was delivered on a piece of. Wait a minute. Oh, no, that's okay. I was just testing you. So when you got your password, did you have to change it? Oh, yeah, I had to change it. Okay. And what about your characters? How long is your password expire? Do you reuse your password a lot? Well, not really. I have a different password for my personal accounts and my corporate account. Okay. Well, the problem that we're seeing is when we're doing our password assessments throughout the corporation, that we're seeing that a lot of these passwords aren't meeting global policy. So I don't know what's going on. So we're wanting to make sure, and we're doing these calls, we're wanting to make sure that these passwords are meeting these requirements. You're the 5th person we've called, and already 3 passwords don't. So is your password something like your dog's name or anything like that? No, that's stupid. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, what is your password?
And then I would jump in and say, and actually I would jump in as, you know, that HR manager and say, you know, it's okay, you know, you're not going to answer anything wrong here. Or
non-disclosure agreement.
He signed the non-disclosure. It's okay to let him know because we are, you know, making sure that this meets the requirements.
And we're going to change it afterwards.
Yeah, we'll change it afterwards. So it is okay to continue. And then Tim will say, yeah, and then you go from there.
So this, leading into some of the do's, do have a backstory that you can roll with. Being comfortable in your conversation is very important. You don't have to have a scripted thing. I'm so-and-so, my age is this, I have this, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to, you're not developing a character, right? You just have some key points that you can remember, that you can pull out, and that you can feed upon. It's a skeleton that you can throw the flesh and the blood on it as you're talking. And you can develop it as you go along, as you learn more about the company, as you're inside and you're developing some relationships even. Being confident, again, do not confuse confidence with pomposity or just arrogance or just overzealousness. You don't want that to happen. Do listen more than you speak. It is in any audit. They always say, you know, don't say much. Just let the auditor talk. Don't give away too much. It's the same thing for this. As an assessor, don't say too much because you might end up tripping over your story. So, oh yeah, I'm looking for so-and-so. You've got a name off a parking lot. Let's say it's reserved for CEO, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, I'm looking for so-and-so. We just had lunch. I got here before he did. Oh, okay. His office is in the server room. Oh, really? Okay, well, where is that? Because I thought it was up here. I was just kind of walking around. I'm new. I've only been here for a couple of days. This is a real story, by the way. Oh, well, his office is downstairs. What was your name again? Oh, Kevin Jobson. Oh, okay. And you're with who? You're with... I didn't say anything. IT security? Yeah.
Yeah, it's IT security.
She's filling in the blanks for me. I was like, yeah, I'm there. And she even said I was new. I wasn't even thinking that I was new. She's like, oh, you must be new. Yeah. Thanks for my story.
Brand new. Haven't even signed my HR papers yet.
Right. And then a security guard comes up because finally somebody had reported it. He's like, is there a problem? She's like, oh, no, he's new. This is Kevin with IT. I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, okay, so I just want to make sure. Are you lost? What's going on? Yeah, I'm looking for, and I dropped the name. I'm looking for John Doe's office in the server room, right? She's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can take you down there. Okay, sweet. So we start walking down there, and he goes to the server room. We stop. The lady's like, you probably don't have access yet, do you? You're pretty new. I was like, probably not. And I knew my badge wasn't going to work, obviously. Red light, meh. Guess not. And she's like, well, I don't have access to this room. Security guard's like...
Armed security guard, by the way.
I'll let you in. Go ahead. Let's be in. Unescorted. I'm in the server room. I go to the guy's desk, lay my business card down, and leave. At that point, we weren't allowed to touch any of the systems, but our goal was to try to get in. So we got in. Easy. Just by listening. Yep.
We were here.
Good. And, I mean, it works. And another story, because I know that we wanted to throw a bunch of stories at you guys. I was doing an assessment. I had gotten in. I had done a lot of stuff, but I wanted to get in the server room. I had walked by the server room, and they had a biometric scanner on it. I was like, how am I going to get in there? So I'm walking around, and I'm like, looking at the ceiling. Maybe I can climb over it. No, I don't know. And finally, I look outside, and I see that there's a security guard's desk with his camera and all the screens, and it's where they do load, like the dock loading and stuff, unloading, and he had all the security system there. And he's talking to this guy, and I'm like, so I'll walk out and I grab a clipboard that was hanging next to the server room. Grab a clipboard, I walk out, and I was like, hey guys, I just need to get the serial numbers off these systems. And they're like, they look at my badge, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. Those systems suck. I'm like, oh yeah? What do you mean? I'm writing down stuff. He's like, yeah, that's our security system. It's been going on the fritz. A couple of the cameras, the PTZ cameras aren't working. I was like, oh, can you show me? He's like, yeah. Security guard logs into the system. Password's 1111 because it's this old security system. Logs in, shows me which cameras don't work, complains about the quality of the cameras and how you can't see license plates and stuff like that. Goes on to tell me all their issues. All I did was ask for the serial number on the system, and I told him that I was like, yeah, man, you know, I'm doing inventory because we're trying to get you guys some better products in here and better systems, so I'm trying to get an idea. I have to get into the server room. I don't have access. I need to get some numbers off of there. And he's like, oh, yeah, and a maintenance guy's there. Maintenance guy was like, you're with maintenance, right? I was supposed to talk with maintenance to let me in. He goes, oh, well, I can't let you in. He might be able to. The guard's like, oh, yeah, I can let you in. So we're talking, BSing. Walks over, lets me into a biometric, protected, armed guard, protected server room by myself. I'm in there by myself doing whatever. There's passwords written on core switches. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff where people, because, you know, it's protected, right? Nobody's going to get in here. Well, you're nice to a security guard and you let him vent the issues that's going on within. You know, be nice, just be an ear. He'll let you in. So. And all those examples kind of sum up the do here. Using sales tactics, do listen more than you speak, take control of the conversation, be observant. We actually had a real quick exercise we wanted to do if we could get a volunteer.
Does anybody feel like you're pretty good about just like rolling with the punches?
Come on, guys, we're at a hackathon.
Somebody's got to be good at it. All right. You don't have to.
Let's give him a hand. Go ahead.
Okay, so just something really quick. We're going to have a quick conversation. I'm not going to tell you the truth about anything, and I don't want you to tell me the truth about anything either, okay? So, what's your name?
I'm Joe.
Hey, where are you from?
North Carolina.
Oh, what do you do?
I'm just in like loan operation stuff at a bank.
Oh yeah, are you good with math and things like that?
I mean, not really. I just kind of got into it. I was just doing like the teller side of things. So I just kind of got moved into the training program in loan operations. So I'm kind of like,
You think you're going to make a career out of that?
I don't know. It's a little too like stuffy in banks for me. But you know, I was hunting for a job straight out of college, and I like got a job as a teller, right? So, just kind of letting them put me through the process.
That's cool. Have you ever had to deal with like bank robberies or anything like that? Has anybody came in? Because I had to do that once. Some guy came in and read the note. Because I worked at a bank for a while before I got into fast food industry, and it wasn't very fun to deal with. So.
What bank was that at?
It was First National Bank. It was in California. So, but anyway, I didn't like it really well. So, I mean, have you had to deal with anything like that?
No bank robbers in North Carolina. Right?
No, fortunate, man. That's good.
California, people got the money out there, I guess.
Yeah.
So, had fast food from banking? How'd that work?
Well, I like to eat a lot, and then I figured that, well, I'm eating all my money, I need to make more money, and there's money at banks, so it just kind of made sense. So,
All right.
So anyway, all right. So you can kind of see, we kind of actually went back and forth where he took control of the conversation by asking me questions and sort of made me, kind of come out and think of things too. And so that's sort of the sales tactics that we were talking about too, is the person that's asking the question usually is the one that's in control of the conversation. And that was really good job, by the way, just kind of. And I'm sure all of us can do that to some extent, but
when you start getting pressure and stuff, it becomes very intimidating. You're like, blah, blah, blah.
What department are you with?
Why are you sweating, man?
I have really bad blood pressure. But if you do your recon and they say, well, what department are you with? Well, then you should know what departments. You should know what department you're with. You should know why you're there, who you're there to see, and so on. So anyway, it's just a quick little exercise there. Again, back like I was talking about, do your research. You got to know what to say. You've got to know who they are. If time permits, actually try and become a client of the client. That way, you can be familiar with their internal process. You can learn the shop talk. If they're in marketing, learn some marketing terms. Learn what their fees are and who they send things to, and sort of their process and so on.
And this goes back to that OS intel, gathering that information. So you go to like Glassdoor, you go to some of these company review sites. You can, or even some of the job posting. You can find out what technologies they are using, and so you already have that kind of in your bank here. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm with the AD department. They use Active Directory. Oh, you're with blah blah blah, and so on. So you can build your disguise off of that. Doing your research again, taking acting and improv classes does an awesome job. A lot of us growing up, that's the nerdy hacker guy over there, doesn't know how to talk to people. If you're uncomfortable talking to people, what helped me the most, because I was really reserved and stuff, it was acting. I did a lot of acting stuff for some commercials and things like that, and that helped. And I was like, wow, this helps me with my IT security career tremendously. Why does it help? Because you're able to roll with the conversation just like they were doing. That was just improv, right? So being able to do like these vignettes or putting together with your team and doing these kinds of things.
Yeah, something to do too, an exercise. If you don't really have somebody that you can go and do these things with, and just kind of BS with each other, go to the mall and just sit down next to someone on the bench and strike up a conversation. Talk to them for as long as they'll talk to you, but kind of push your limits. Don't tell them the truth about anything. Like we were just doing. Just they ask you what your name is, just go from there and just kind of get familiar. And this sounds really bad. But get really comfortable with lying.
We lie for a living, so what can I say?
It sounds terrible, but if it's part of your job, it's okay. For that job, I guess, as long as you know when to stop. But that's just a good way to sort of get comfortable with that outside of the acting and improv classes.
So again, we're talking about knowing your story. Just have some key things to remember. My name, who am I with? Why am I here? Or who am I here to see? You don't have to have this overly complex thing that you're stressing about as you're going in. I'm not going to remember any of this stuff. Just have something you can pull from and you can develop. Physical barriers, bypassing without destruction. So let's say you get to their data center. or the building that houses their data center. You know it, you see some generators out there, you're like, that's probably where the server room is. There's a fence around those generators and there's a door there, but that door's propped open, how do I get over there? Well, there's barbed wire. I don't want to climb that. Well, you guys seen Fight Club. Throw a rug over it, climb over.
Yeah, or a leather jacket.
Or a leather jacket. This, again, I was talking about the parkour teams that break out of some of the prisons. I actually teach at a parkour gym, some martial arts there, and I'm seeing a lot of these guys, and I'm trying to pick up some parkour just because I'm like, wow, if you could match that skill set with the technical hacking aspects and the social and the engineering hacking aspects, you got a really good consultant that could do anything from prison breakouts to, just corporate audits. So that's kind of a fun thing to think about.
But you don't have to do parkour. You don't have to jump.
You don't have to be, you don't have to be a ninja.
Physical assessment.
But, for this more, the more stringent, I guess, assessments that are demanding like that. But this, so if you want to climb it, barbed wire, having something safe over there. If it's razor wire, I would just avoid it. Because, A, you don't want to destroy it. You don't want to destroy the fencing at all. You don't want to clip it. Because we're the good guys, we're trying to expose these vulnerabilities so we can help, not to destroy it, not to break it, right? Unless it's in scope and they're like, okay, whatever, have fun.
Yeah, do whatever you want. All right, I'm going to cut the fence. I'm not going to climb over barbed wire. So.
Parking garage. I mentioned this earlier. The catwalks are excellent if they have a parking garage connecting to the building. The fire escape, a good avenue to get from floor to floor. Also, the added benefit of the fire escape is you can see the floor layouts. So you see the emergency action plans or the floor layouts for fire. You can see the evacuation plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, just a quick adage to that. When you go in, let's say there's a lobby and you can go in and use the restroom or something. Most of the time you'll see a map, like a floor plan, up on the wall for that very reason. Just snap a quick photo of that way you can look at it and get an idea, just a quick idea of what's on that floor and where things are. That way when you're walking around, you don't look like a lost puppy. So. Maintaining an authorized access. There are some good places in buildings where once you're in, let's say you want to hide out for a while and wait until everyone's left so you can let the rest of your team in. Some good places for that are the restroom. If you're able to pick your way into a closet. And another one, which is pretty cool, is an elevator. So if you can, there's a lot of simple elevator hacks. There's actually a great DEF CON 22 talk about elevator hacks that I highly recommend watching. But basically, pick locks. Most of the locks are made by the same manufacturers, and so they're pretty universal and easy to bypass. But once you get into a car and you put it in operator mode, or there's different modes where you basically lock out that car and it only goes to your commands. It's not answering other calls. So you have that car to yourself. Roll a chair in there and sit for a few hours, wait for people to go home, open the door, go let your buddies in the building, and you're in.
Or bypass the restricted floors, right?
Yeah.
What's fun about the elevators too, there's several hidden panels inside of elevators. Again, that talk does an excellent job of breaking it down and showing it. And we don't want to get too granular with this, but I would encourage you to not limit yourself to just that. If you want to go above and beyond, this is a good way to do it.
Yep.
Just a meeting room?
What's that?
Find a conference room.
Yeah, you can do a conference room too. Especially after hours. Like my favorite place is to go as soon as I get in is the bathroom. And this is what we're leading in. I'm in. Where am I? So you want to get your bearings. I go straight to the restroom just because I can lock myself in a stall. I can text my partner if they're out there. I can, recompose myself because your adrenaline starts pumping as soon as you get in there. And you need to recompose yourself. You don't want to be sweating bullets and going out there with sweaty armpits and stuff and walking around. I'm supposed to be here. Don't look at me.
Throwing up on the floor.
Yeah. Being confident, confidence and lack of is noticed. Again, don't be sweating bullets and hunched over. Walk with a purpose. You know where you're going. Even if you walk into a room, take note of the exits immediately or wherever. And there's my destination. Because if you walk in and you're like, they're going to ask questions. Just go straight to something. Even if it's your phone. If you're nervous, go straight to a corner and get on your phone and then look around. Now you have a reason. Okay. Owning the room. Owning the room again is it's a little bit more confidence to do this, but going into a room and you're supposed to be there. A way to own a room is oh yeah, I'm here for blah blah blah, and have a big title or anything like that. If you're a vendor, say you're disguised as a vendor. I'm with whatever print services. I'm here to fix your printer.
Yeah, or I'm with the grounds crew. I mean, just kind of learn that through recon, who you're going to be when you go in.
And then owning the room with that. Just saying, yeah, did this printer need to look at? Well, I'm here. Let me go ahead and look at it. You know, and do that kind of things because it works so well. I was doing an assessment, got to the executive floor. It was during lunch break. One of the VPs had his room open. He had his Apple device there, and he had his laptop. It was unlocked. So I guess he had just gotten up. They didn't have a timeout. I didn't know. So I snuck in there, walking around. I could hear the secretary getting back. I'm like, oh no. So I grab his business card and I leave. And then I walk out, and then there's two secretaries there. And I was like, they see me leave his office. She's like, can I help you? I said, oh yeah, I'm looking for so-and-so. You know, I have his card. I'm with blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to install, and I just BS my way. Supposed to install PGP whole disk encryption. Oh, I think he put that in like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, we've been really backed up. I'm from corporate too. I'm kind of in a hurry. Can I just go ahead and do this? No, I'd rather you wait until he gets back. Well, do you know when he'll be back? He's in a meeting, probably another 30 minutes to an hour. Well, honestly, I don't have that time. It's just only going to take a minute. Can I do this quick? Because I know it's been resting on the plate. It's been 3 weeks already. I don't want to leave him waiting. All right, yeah. So she lets me in, takes his laptop, gives it to me. And I now have his laptop. Oh yeah, I'll do this. I'll be right back. And so now I have this VP's laptop. So owning the room and letting them know, hey, I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. You're doing me a favor. Let's help each other out. That works too.
It's all about the confidence. You know, props like we talked about too. Phone, be on your phone, be busy. We talked about use boxes that you need a helping hand getting in somewhere. Talked about pretending to be an argument just to make it very uncomfortable. So people will be less likely to intervene and ask what you're doing there and so on.
You know, we talked about the fire escape several times, but also whenever you're doing any of this stuff, make sure you're in a place where you can also log things. Again, the restroom is perfect for that. You don't want to forget to take log and take note of what you're doing. What room was I just in? Well, crap. I forgot what room I'm in. I had already exploited. I had already gotten into this room with this department or talked to this person or manipulated so-and-so. And then you forget to write some of that stuff down. And then when you're back and you're writing the report, you have a very sparse report because you're leaving out details, and then there's a lot more questions and a lot more challenges to you. So you want to make sure that your report isn't too beefy, but you want to still document what's going on.
Yeah, make sure your evidence gathering during the assessment is just as thorough as it would be for a normal internal penetration assessment or mobile application or web application assessment. You know, just kind of imagine it like screenshots or, you know, snippets of code. Just make sure that you're documenting everything very well.
Where's the server room? Where the generator's outside, again, you know, that's a good indicator. Understand the layout, knowing the layout of the building, entering the server room. You know, I mentioned earlier the biometric compromise. They did have a side door that I tried to pick, but I wasn't able to. You know, so I was there, and they had the side door that said their halon, you know, fire extinguisher, blah 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 is here, and so on. I'm like really trying, and I couldn't get into there. But oftentimes you could find the side doors that are just as vulnerable as a wiring closet with one of those little holes you just kind of poke and open it like a residential bedroom. I'm not condoning that, by the way. But no firewall, so they don't have the floor-to-ceiling wall. I was in another place doing an assessment. They had a new server room that they were making. It was this beautiful server room. It was these glass windows, thick glass windows and stuff. And on the side, they had an office that they were commissioning. Well, in there, they had a stack of servers beside a rack that they hadn't racked yet. And I was like, I wonder if that has floor-to-ceiling access. If it's new, they probably don't have a intrusion detection system up there, any sensors. So I took a chair, got up. Lo and behold, I am over the wall. Again, this takes a little bit more finesse, I guess, so you don't fall through their ceiling. You climb over the wall, and you're there. Shoes are important also, what the kinds of shoes you're wearing. So if you're planning on doing any of that dirty stuff or dumpster diving, things like that, maybe not dress shoes are the best thing. So. Where to plug in? Again, if they have DHCP access and the network's open and you're in a conference room, just plug in there. You're in the conference room, this occupied, slide the thing, it's no longer vacant, you're in there, lock the door, you're good to go. Until somebody actually has a conference, and then you risk that, because that's something that you're going to have to gamble with. You're taking a chance with. So the core switch is a good starting point. A lot of different things to find different traffic.
Conference rooms, though, people squat all the time, aren't supposed to be in here. So.
Yeah.
Social engineering. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
get the visitors.
Absolutely.
I was just trying to get away for a few minutes to complete this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a call I had to take or whatever.
Yeah, I'm waiting on so-and-so. We're supposed to meet in a little while. So. Yeah, when you're done, obviously, you want to make sure that when you bug out, you've got everything that you need. Are you still continuing to try and get out undetected? Is that part of it? Or do you need to have close out before you're done? If you have an employee escort, finish it just like you would any other normal business meeting. Hey, thanks for your time. I'm done here. I really appreciate your help. Hope to see you again soon. Just a nice formal ending.
Have an exit in mind, whether you go out the same way you came in, or if you're wanting to go out the front of the lobby and wave at the security guard as you're leaving. Depending on what you're doing, have an exit in mind. It's very important. Escalate critical findings to the point of contact. So let's say you went in there and like that laptop, I couldn't just leave and go back to my hotel and start doing whatever. I had to escalate that. As soon as I got out of there, hey, I have so-and-so's laptop, where can I meet you so I can get it back to you?
Or the security guard punched in the code, told me what cameras weren't working, so on and so forth. It's not a good situation for you guys. So.
All right, again, Bruce Lee said this very well. It's not what you give, it's how you give it. In social engineering and red teaming, the stuff that's outside of the technical hacking, it's all about presentation. It's like smoke and mirrors, it's smiles and laughs, handshakes, and fake. A lot of fake con artistry.
That's it for us, guys.
Yeah, you guys have any questions or anything? I know we kind of been doing some real-time questions, but you guys have any specific questions? Yes?
Can we try R00 to get into their medical section to get their unsecured medical records?
Sure, if you want to try it. If you fall, it's not my fault. Anyone else?
Sure.
Yes?
What if you are in a situation where you need to get to, say, like a 6th floor, and only way is the elevator and it's badge access?
Well, again, the fire escape is handy, because typically they will have a fire escape because they kind of have to. Some places do. The elevator, if it is restricted, like that executive elevator level, again, elevator hacking, you can actually buy some of the vendor keys, because a lot of those keys are the same for the elevators. So you can buy those, have them shipped there, and then you can have that on there and just turn it into that mode, go straight to it.
You can bypass, there's actually some of the hidden panels that you can access. Maybe like the fireman's access, fireman's key, things like that will actually bypass the biometric readers and take you to any floor that you want to go. Or
you get an executive's name, and then you wait for a guy in a suit and a charismatic smile to come in, say hi to the so-and-so, and you follow him into the elevator. And then you're just there and you're talking, and then if he badges in, he says, what floor? And you see he's going to the executive floor. Oh, actually that floor, I'm here to see so-and-so. Oh, okay. That's work too. So it doesn't have to be this elaborate hack. You don't have to go in there and hack elevators or pick locks to get to places. So. Yeah, exactly. Proxmark and Fiddler and stuff like that. If you want to do the badge cloning, those are a couple. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys. And if you guys have any additional questions, don't be afraid to approach us after this. And,
yeah, we'll be around. So just let us know.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.